Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF Bets race of the day for Friday, January the 12th. Well, it's opening day at Oaklawn Park, and we're going to take a look at the feature, the $125,000 fifth season stakes. And if you happen to be betting the Oaklawn card on Friday, please sign up to DRF Bets. $200 free bet, no deposit required when you go to drf.com/join. Sign up to DRF Bets by using the promo code FREEBET09. Let's take a look at this field of evenly matched older horses going a mile and a 16th. And if you head on over to the Race of the Day event page on drf.com, you can download free Formulator Pass performances. Please do so and follow along with us as we handicap the field in post position order. And Matt, the number one, Far Right, likes Oaklawn, but has the ship sailed for Far Right. He hasn't been as good since finishing second to American Pharoah in the Arkansas Derby.
Yeah, I think he's certainly well past his prime. At the same time, I kind of look at this horse and say, I know he's 2 for 8 lifetime at the distance. I'd love to see what the one-turn race is doing. I know they did that 2 starts back with him at Churchill Downs. That's just kind of what he feels like to me, an off-the-pace, one-turn kind of horse. Having said that, he's now 6. I don't think he's as good as he once was.
Does like Oaklawn Park, though. He won the Smarty Jones and the Southwest, leading up to that runner-up effort behind the amazing American Pharoah in the 2015 Arkansas Derby. The number 2 is Feudal, and Feudal, I think, was a very wise claim by trainer Chris Hartman. He took this one for $32,000, and he found one of the easier graded stakes spots in 2017, the Hawthorne Gold Cup. I thought Feudal, if he handled the distance, had a big shot in that race, and he almost handled the distance. Scuba handled it a lot better.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, that final, I don't even want to call it final 16th, what was it, final 100 yards maybe? That was just enough what got him there. I agree with you. I think it was a very, very shrewd move to look and find a spot like that where, my goodness, you didn't need a heck of a lot of a number to win that spot. For what it's worth, third place finisher Sidebot came back to run next out, earn an 83 at Tampa Bay Downs, so that just goes to show you the caliber of the Hawthorne Gold Cup this year.
And I think that if Feudal is going to find a stake spot, it might have been there. Yeah. And while some may say, well, he's dropping out of a grade 3, this listed stakes race has grade and stakes level caliber horses in there. I think this horse has tactical speed. He's going to appreciate cutting back in distance, but you're going to have to run better than he did in the Hawthorne Gold Cup. The 3 is Sight for Sore Eyes, and this horse is going to be a pace factor. Whether he's good enough to really contend, that's a different story. He was a stakes winner at Fonner Park in April of 2017. Didn't do much running last time out, but he was caught up in a very hot pace.
Yeah, he was. I don't know that it's going to be that hot this time around, but he is going to be forward, and there figures to be some horses that like to be up there. The concern for me is ever since that layoff, when we saw him over the summer, and then he came back in October at Keeneland, the 2 races since, I know that most recent pace kind of was destructive, but he hasn't done a heck of a lot of running. That makes me wonder where he is.
But he could certainly have a say in the outcome because of his speed. The number 4 is Dan the Go-To Man, and this horse beat a couple of these last time out at Remington Park, and I thought he looked good. Yes, he got a nice easy pace to work with up front, but he was pretty game in the stretch, and that's saying something for a horse that has 11 second-place finishes from 23 lifetime starts. Perhaps this good trainer, Alan Milligan, has got him going the right way, and this formulator fact indicates that once he gets them going off a little bit of a layoff, they keep going. Third off the bench, last out winning older horses over the past few years, 40% winners, a 306 ROI. I think he is getting better, but I think this pace scenario could work against him.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to work a heck of a lot harder than he did in that run at Remington. My question for you is, when you look and see a horse like this that loves to run second, 11 of 23 lifetime, 13 times second or third, and the fact that he digs in as gamely as he did, is that a positive for him, or is that a negative for the horses coming from behind?
I think it's neither here nor there. I think that it was just a good performance for Dan the Go-To Man. And we'll talk about Dazzling Gem, the horse that he fended off in the last moments of that race because he was coming off of a long layoff, so you might want to be a little bit forgiving for Dazzling Gem. I think it was a situation where the pace really helped him out. The button was pushed at the right time by Aram Diego, opened up on the field, and the wire came in the nick of time. The 5 is Sticks Stately Dude, and this is a horse that we always knew had a little bit of ability. Heck, he won the Discovery, beat Neolithic in November of 2016. Since then, nothing has gone right. He's a 5-year-old with only 10 lifetime starts. But if you want to make excuses for his last 2 races and say both times he was coming off long layoffs, and if you do want to go back to that Discovery around 2 turns, if he runs that Discovery, he's a big factor.
I think if he runs the Discovery, he wins, period. I just don't know if it's still there in the arsenal because, like you say, 2 starts back, don't want to hold that against him, going short off of a layoff. And the most recent run, off of another little bit of a layoff, change of scenery, and he set some fractions, and he got cooked early on. I just wonder at this point, he's run 10 times, he's a 5-year-old. Where is he?
I think that's really the key. What are we going to get with him? Although it's nice to see another, not another gigantic layoff. He came back tenacious. Yeah. He showed speed. He tired. If you want to say that's a prep and he'll do better this time around, I won't argue with you. Goatstown goes out for the legendary Wayne Lucas. We won't hold the Clark handicap against him. He was 55-1 for a reason. He showed some speed. He backed up. His prior race is probably where Goatstown is right now. That 91 buyer with good tactical speed. He's not out of it. He's going to be a big price.
He's going to be a big price. The problem for me, I like this horse. I think there's some ability in here. 10 times second or third from 28 lifetime starts, and he's only found the winner's circle 3 times. I thought the run 2 starts back was good at Keeneland. The question is that good enough to win in a spot like this? I don't know about win, but I think he's one you can use underneath at a big number.
Let's talk about Royal Squeeze, a stakes winner in his own right, coming off of a 91 buyer speed figure performance. He was claimed by a very crafty trainer in Randy Morse. While this horse does have speed, I think he has a good tactical gear where he might be sitting 3rd and 4th in the second flight. I am a little bit concerned about the distance.
That to me is really the key with this horse. If he can get the distance, I think he's a major player. And I don't know that he should be 20-1 in the morning line like he is, but hey, you know what? Wouldn't complain about that. I do think he has the ideal running style where he doesn't need to have the lead. He can sit just slightly off of it, but get the jump on the closers. The question is this distance really right for him?
I'm a big fan of the 8 Shotgun Cowboy, who just missed behind Dan the Go-To Man and Dazzling Gem last time out. His dirt races this form cycle have been good. He won as he was supposed to against Oklahoma Breds 3 starts back. Then the turf race, just throw it right out. And then his most recent performance, a good solid effort. This is a horse that if he relaxes early, and I think he can in this spot, he will self-known in the stretch. He likes Oaklawn as well.
Yeah, I think he's a major player in here. Has that versatility. He can go or he can sit a little bit. The most recent run didn't have really any problem with it, especially when you consider the fractions early on up front. Things all seem to work out for Dan the Go-To Man. I think this is another horse that's got a major player.
Here's your son, the number 9, Dazzling Gem, 7-2 on the morning line. It seems like Dazzling Gem, we talk about him all these times in the major stakes race. He's come close so many times. It's amazing he hasn't won a stakes race yet.
No.
Maybe this is the spot. What did you think of his most recent race? On paper, it looked like that if he was going to come back firing, he would win. And maybe you could make the case the pace didn't work in his favor. He was very wide, and maybe he was just a little bit short.
I think if you can make that case, certainly, and I can't argue with it. I don't know that I personally buy it, but it makes all the sense in the world from a handicapping standpoint. The problem for me with this horse, it seems like, when he made the big move on the far turn, and then Dan the Go-To Man kind of got away from him again, that just makes me wonder, ultimately, are you more of a one-turn, going shorter kind of horse, which I know sounds silly because guess what? He's never gone one turn in his life. He's always been campaign going 2. I wonder if he's going to end up ultimately, if they give him the opportunity to do so, being a one-turn kind of closing sprinter, 7/8 of a mile, one-turn mile, because I don't know. I think there's ability. It doesn't seem like he can close the deal.
But he does seem to love Oaklawn Park. He ran really well here against More Spirit, 2 starts back last year at Oaklawn, and of course his performances in the Arkansas Derby were pretty good also in 2015. We've got Sonneteer, the number 10, still eligible for a non-winners of 2 life. He couldn't seal the deal last time out at Los Alamitos. It was an okay effort for Sonneteer, but perhaps best of all, if you think the pace is going to be fast up front, this horse is going to come running.
Well, the weird thing is, I mean, the blinkers went on for the first time there in that most recent run, and he was a heck of a lot closer. He was up there contesting the pace throughout. So all of a sudden now, I come into this spot, and normally I would agree. I would sit back and say, you know what, he may not be able to win, but we know he's run well at Oaklawn in the past, and he's going to come from last. If you think things are going to heat up, did the blinkers all of a sudden change his running style? Because if that's the case, I don't know if it sets up well for him.
I think even if he is into the race a little bit more, I don't think he could step with some of these others in the early portion of this race. Maybe at least he won't be coming from 30 out of it.
True.
Maybe he'll only be 7-8 out of it and have a big shot turning into the stretch. Keith DeZormo, his trainer, he knows what he's doing. Here's the formulator fact for Sonneteer. Past 4 years with older runners in non-graded stake dirt route races, 33% and a 325 ROI. Oh, Untrapped, the number 11. Midway in the Grade 3 Oklahoma Derby, and he was a deserving favorite last time out at Zia Park, turning back at a mile and a 16th. We've always liked him at these slightly shorter distances. He caught a horse that's very underrated, a horse you liked, Cedar Town for Godolphin. Still, I didn't like the way Untrapped was outpaced on the turn, and he kind of just finished second on class alone.
I feel like you and I, every time we talk about this horse, it sounds like we're just ganging up on him. We're like, oh, well.
Yet he's made $650,000.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he's shown up and he's running good in some good spots. But the problem is, before that Zia Park Derby, I think you and I both, it's the kind of race that he's going to lose and he's not supposed to. I don't think he was supposed to lose that race. I do think Cedar Town's okay, but I don't know why he was as far back as he was. It seems like this is a horse that he has the ability to get into the running early on, and he just, for some reason or another, he was completely outpaced. You're going to need to see a big reverse in form if he's going to win in here, and he's going to take money.
He's the kind of horse that's interesting at a price.
Yes.
2 back in the Oklahoma Derby's 11-1. I can see Untrapped because when Untrapped's among 4 or 5 contenders, I'm like, well, he could win.
Why not? Yeah.
And he could lose, but I'll take a shot at a price. In the Zia Park Derby, when it's 3-5, you're like, well, he can win. But he is Untrapped at the end of the day. Maybe I don't want that price. He's 3-1 on the morning line. Wouldn't shock us at all if he wins, but please demand value.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our selections, because my selection is way on the outside. The number 12, Chief Know-It-All, who finished behind Untrapped in the Zia Park Derby, and maybe I'm kind of fishing. I'm going to argue he ran a slightly better race. He drew a tough outside post position. He was widest going into the first turn. He was 3-4 wide throughout. He made a bid on the outside all the way through the turn, and then he flattened out. From a buyer speed figure standpoint, that race is far and away better than he's run ever, but ever since Diodoro claimed him, he has really come into form. The post is no great shakes in this spot, but I think they'll run away from him early. I'm hoping he's got a puncher's chance late, 10-1 on the line.
I don't want to hold anything about that last run against him. I think ground loss was the difference there, because if you would reverse trips possibly with Cedartown, and I know he came from a little bit farther back than Cedartown did, I think he ultimately is the one that probably wins the race. I thought that bid that he put in was really, really strong, and he just couldn't quite sustain it because he was as wide as he was. Unfortunately, again, you break from post 12 going into that relatively short run. I don't know where he's going to be positioned. I think he's a nice horse. I think he has a big chance in here. The question is, what kind of trip is Maldonado going to work out?
So we both respect Untrapped. We both respect Dazzling Gem, but we want alternatives. Let's talk a little bit more about Royal Squeeze. A, where do you see him in the early portion of this race? B, what price would you take, and how do you bet the race?
Well, considering the 3 horses drawn just to his inside, you've got Stick Stately Dude in there, you've got Dan the Go-To Man, you also have the 3-horse Sight for Soul Rise, whatever the horse's name is, you get what I'm saying. Those 3 horses going, I would imagine that Royal Squeeze, you want to sit a little bit. The concern, again, as we touched on it, is he going to be able to handle this distance? Because if he can, I think he's a giant, giant player, and if he goes off anywhere near 20-1, I think that's more than fair. The question is, you know, as they turn for home, when is it going to kind of kick in with him that now all of a sudden he's stretching out and maybe this additional distance doesn't work?
Give me numbers.
In this spot, I'm going 7, 9, 11, 12.
I'll take Chief Know-It-All. He's 10-1 on the line. That sounds fair. I might even dip to 8 if he goes down there. But in multiple race wagers at Oakland, I'll use the 12 and the 2 logical horses, Dazzling Gem and Untrapped. 12, 9, 11 for me in the 5th season. If you're betting the opening day card from home, no better place than at DRF Bets. $200 free bet, no deposit required when you go to drf.com/join and join. Promo code FREEBET09. Approximate post time for the 5th season on opening day at beautiful Oak Lawn Park, 3:49 Central. Good luck.